Hello, 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 everyone.
Hello.
Good evening. Good evening. We're sorry we didn't have any music tonight. I was redoing some of the video intro stuff, and I do it without music because normally I'm going from a different software, and when I go from that software, it usually I can just put in whatever music I want. So our apologies for no music while you waited with us. We thank you for joining us tonight. I'm Damon
And
Rich,
I'm Tamika Rich.
and welcome to Marriage Refresh TV.
Welcome.
We are, you know what? As much time as I had, I still didn't get my book out. Okay. Yes, I'm sorry. So we are, this episode is 22 years of authentic marriage. If you follow us on Facebook or anything, you know that we have celebrated here recently last week. We celebrated 22 years of marriage, right? And, you know, I don't know about you, honey, but from my circle, my group, I kind of got varying, all positive, but varying things, you know. It said, you know, people were like, man, congratulations, man, Rich, you, man, just, you know, giving me accolades and saying, hey, being a good husband, what have you, and different things. And man, like 22 years, I was talking to my brother, like, man, that's a long time, man. I didn't believe you when you said you were going to marry that girl, and then you married her, and look here, 22 years
Is that
later.
what he said? Why was I not in on that conversation?
Well, that's between me and my brother.
Oh,
So it's 22 years in, and I know some people may be wondering 22 years of authentic marriage, and we'll get there. If you're new to us, you may already know what authentic means. If you're not new, if you're new to us, you may not know what 22 authentic means in the context that we use it. And if you're not new to us, you probably already know. And so we'll get in that in a minute. But you know, one of my friends, he was like, man, I know it takes something to get this far in 22 years of marriage. But sometimes people, I think, just count the years, and they look at the years as the mile marker. And I didn't get any of that from any of the guys that are in my circle, because they know most of the guys in my circle are married or have been married, and they know what it takes to do marriage in terms of the effort you have to put in. And so, but it's very positive vibe. But I think a lot of people get caught up. I'm reminded of when Dick Gregory, I got a chance to see him before he passed, and we was in the audience, and he said, man, I've been married, I forget for how many years, 40, 50 years, and everybody like, woo, clapping their hands. He said, I've been married that long. I ain't say I was happy.
right.
And so there's a difference,
Right.
because you can have a lot of years and be miserable. And I think I won't call it a point of no return, and I think it's different for maybe everybody, because we've heard of some marriages after 40 years, just like, we can't do this anymore for whatever the reasons was, or the reasons were. But I think that there is maybe this imaginary point of no return for the most part, in the sense that people look and they say, I have too much invested, and so I'm gonna stay regardless.
Right.
And so we're married in title or name and deed, but we're not really like married.
Not a relationship. Right?
Yeah, relationship rise. We're not really connected. And so I think, you know, we're going to share a little bit of our journey. Listen, if you are watching from your tablet, unfortunately, it doesn't work on phones. If you're watching from your tablet or from a laptop with a camera, you can actually join us live on air. And ask us a question live on air. We'll bring you on. If you want to turn your camera off and just want to have your mic on, that's perfectly fine. But you can come on if you have a topic you want to discuss. I mean, or a question you want to bring up. In our 22 years of marriage, we can have up to 8, 9 people in the virtual studio. We can bring y'all on at once. We can bring y'all one at a time. But if you want to, there's a little link right there in the announcement or in the description of the show. If you click on that link from a tablet or from a computer, with a microphone and a camera, or at least at a minimum with a microphone, you should be able to get into the virtual studio with us. That's why we call it freestyle. This is the second time we've done freestyle. And whenever you see freestyle, just know that you can come on live with us. And we'll have that discussion. And some people might be like, that's a risk. No, it ain't. Because I can bring you into the studio, I can kick you out of the studio. So, oh yes, I can. So it's not a risk at all. But we like to interact and definitely have you on as our impromptu guests. But so join us, yes. So until then, we're going to just talk about some other stuff, right? Also, if you come on live and you want to talk about your business, that's perfectly fine. We are here and we're giving out free coaching advice right here. You know, you come on, we can talk about it. All right, now, so 22 years of authentic marriage. You wanna explain authenticity to the people? I normally do. I'll let you do it this time.
Really? Well, first I want to say happy anniversary.
Again,
just for the people. So authentic means, or marriage is, it is what it is. You're being open. You're saying it's not perfect. You're saying we don't. Not that we don't have struggles. Authentic marriage is struggles. It's ups, it's downs, hills, valleys, roller coaster rides sometimes, all of those things. But you remain, or you do your best to work on it and work at it every single day. So it's definitely doing the work. Authentic marriage is definitely doing the work. Don't say we have it all together. Not say we made it, any of those things, but just say, hey, we're in it to win it, and we are here to do work.
That's it. And so that is our thing.
Don't mean you don't get on my nerves.
I mean, she just got on my nerves over the weekend.
Did I?
Yeah.
On our anniversary little getaway?
Yeah, I'm sure you did.
I'm sure I didn't.
What you did?
I don't know.
You did something.
Oh, okay.
You know you did. So I'm just assuming she did something. I don't know. I don't recall her getting on my nerves, but she does. She tells me I'm her favorite person to argue with. I don't know how I feel about that, but that's what she tells me.
I think that's a very nice thing to say.
It is. It's an excellent thing to say. It is a great thing for your wife to say you are her favorite person to argue with. Absolutely 100%. She just don't like me to argue back.
Sometimes.
Okay, so so you covered pretty much what authentic is, and you know my simple way of how I like to tell people is authentic marriage means that it has wounds, right? It has scars. It's going to get scuffed up a little bit along the way, and you know depending on what those wound scars challenges are, you know it just depends. But authentic marriage has wounds. It has scars. It is, as you said, honey, it's not perfect. And I think a lot of marriages, I actually started reading a book. I have so many half-read books that I need to, I'll talk about that in a minute, but that I need to finish. But one of them is called No More Perfect Marriages. And that's the thing. I think so many marriages go sideways because couples try to continue to have like these perfect marriages. And the idea of a perfect marriage. And I was telling someone recently, I said this, I said, you know, we talk about unreasonable expectations a lot. And I said, the most unreasonable expectation you will ever have in a marriage, the most unreasonable expectation that you will ever. Are you ready? Do you have your pen and paper? Because I'm going to tell you the single most unreasonable expectation to have in your marriage. And if you can deal with this one unreasonable expectation, your marriage can be transformed. It'll be like almost, I won't say it'll happen overnight, but your marriage can be transformed if you can get rid of this one unreasonable expectation. I'll tell you at the end of the show. No. The one most dangerous, unreasonable expectation you can ever have in your marriage is the expectation that you have not communicated to your spouse.
Mhm. Yep.
It isn't even the unreasonable expectation. It is the unspoken expectation
Mhm.
that is perhaps the most, I will go ahead and say it, is the most dangerous,
Mhm.
unreasonable expectation you can ever have in your marriage.
And with that being said, the unspoken expectation that you think your spouse already knows.
But
You,
that's what
right,
makes it dangerous.
right, because it's unspoken, and you figure, oh, they should know, or they know, or
Because a lot of times it's unspoken for that very reason is you assume that they already know.
Mhm.
You assume that they already know. And that is why it is the most dangerous, unreasonable expectation you could ever have in your marriage. And so that is over 22 years. I think we've definitely dealt with that. That leads me to one of the things I like to tell people. One of the most dangerous phrases that you can utter in your marriage, which is also one of those phrases that, hey, auntie, thank you, love you. The One of those phrases, one of the most dangerous phrases you can speak in your marriage, is "I thought by now." I thought by now, because I thought by now is speaking to failed expectations, or um, um, not failed failed expectations, or kind of resentment is starting to build up. I thought by now, and here's why that statement is so dangerous. Go ahead.
No, I understand and I completely agree, but also perspective. And then with that being said, that statement, because you can't take it, I think, to make it an excuse. Because if you listen to it, I thought by now we would have been here. Not to say that is an excuse to keep doing what you do, or bad behavior or lazy behavior.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, I thought by now you would have a job.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you need a
Yeah.
job.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And stuff
Yeah.
like that. So not using it as an excuse, or, listen to this and go, oh yeah, I thought by now. There are some things that needs to be by now you should have done, learned, you know what I'm saying?
Yes.
Met the mark at.
Yeah,
But I definitely agree.
There are some things. I thought by now you would be over going out to the club at 50.
Right.
I thought by now,
Mhm.
and so, yeah, there's some reasonable, but the reason I say this most dangerous phrase that can be spoken is because, just like the first one about expectations,
Mhm.
it's usually not said.
Right.
It's usually not
Mhm.
said. It's inward speaking.
Mhm.
I thought by now, and it starts to build up a resentment,
Mhm.
and the other person doesn't even know where it's coming from.
Right.
And things, and then listen, friends on the outside looking in are like, "You have a great marriage," and they're like, "Shoot,"
Right.
and in 22 years, I can tell you, some guys I've spoken with, both friends, people that are not friends or whatever, some of the issues or challenges they have, I'm like, nah, I ain't had none of those. But also some of the issues or challenges I had, they're like, I ain't never had that situation,
Mhm.
right?
Right.
I love, and I'll say this, I love my mother-in-law dearly, but my mother-in-law, we are both headstrong. It's so early in the marriage, me and her bump heads a little bit, and so we kind of love each other. I know without a shadow of doubt, my mother-in-law loves me, and I hope that without a shadow of doubt, she knows that I love her. But if I can do anything for her, I'm gonna do it for her. But I kind of keep my space, my distance, or whatever. But I've talked to people like, man, their mom is mother-in-law. I call my mother-in-law mom. Their mother-in-law is like a second mother to them. And sometimes their wife is like, you got too good a relationship with my mom or whatever, right?
Mhm.
And so that's one of those things that I was like, I don't have that kind of relationship with my mother-in-law. It's not contentious, but it's not that up close and personal. If there's anything she could do for me, I have no doubt that my mother-in-law would do it for me, right? In the same way, the other way around. But I don't have that mother, like call her mom, do anything we can do for her, but I don't have that, up close and personal relationship with her that some guys say they have with their mother-in-law. I just don't.
Right.
Right.
And I think it depends on the person and where they are,
Hmm.
and you have to kind of like meet them where they are. And sometimes, people don't just aren't there,
Yeah.
But I think it's something that if it's desired should also be worked on.
Yes.
you know
Yeah.
just like for me and my mom, I'm constantly working on that relationship, because it hadn't always been what it is today or now.
Right.
But that's another thing, if that's important to you, that you should voice one and definitely work on. And I think as you kind of grow and evolve and say, hey, in the beginning we really didn't have that good of a relationship, and that's with almost anybody, but now I want to really work towards that.
Right.
If it means that much to you. Some people be like, that's my spouse and that's who I have to deal with. I don't have to deal with the family, the mom,
Yeah.
dad, sister, and brother. I think it is an extra to me blessing, or a plus or a check if you can
Hmm.
get along with family and have big family and that close knit relationship.
Yeah. Yeah.
I think that's important.
Yeah, and it does. It has a lot to. It has a lot of dynamics that go there.
Hmm.
Some people cannot get along with their in-laws. Some people can get along with their in-laws great, and some people are somewhere in the middle. Um, I'm not on the spectrum of not getting along with my in-laws, and I get along with my in-laws honestly quite fine. I just know my role and my place in my space when it comes to the family, and it's okay. It is, it is what it is, or what have you. I know in 22 years of marriage, I know my oldest brother-in-law, Mike, he took me. We first together. He wanted to kind of see if I'm a man, whatever, right? And he would take me to work with him. Yeah, I can work. I don't work as hard as Mike worked because that's not me. I always been a work smart, not hard type of person. And so that don't mean I can't do it. There's things I can do. There's things I just don't have to do. I'm good. Let somebody else do that, or if I'm in a position where I can pay somebody to do it, I'm good. I'm fine with that, right? It is not much I can't figure out on my own, And so that's just who I am or whatever. But that during that time, we got to get a relationship and what have you, and love my brother-in-laws dearly. I've spent more time with Mike and Lo than I did have with Juan.
Hmm.
And so, you know what I'm saying? But when Juan comes, hey, how you doing? Whatever. And he's here to visit family, what have you. So it's over the years you get these dynamics and you become a part of the family.
Right. You do.
You become a part of the family. Like I'm really close with Uncle Ticket, and stuff, and just love him and look to him for wisdom. And when we do get our chance, I always enjoy my conversation with Uncle Ticket. So you just have those dynamics. So
It is, and I think a lot of times, sometimes it's just personality.
right, right,
Personality, cliques or flaws, or how you get along. So yeah, for me, I think my in-laws have gotten along with from the beginning. I hadn't had an issue or problem.
yep, you
Am
did.
Oh, wait, okay.
As far as I know, you did. As far as I know, you did. I'm just saying. As far
Yeah,
as I know, you did.
I'm thinking.
You think it's
Yeah, I don't think so. I meant I love them. I can get along.
Yeah,
Yeah, so
yeah.
so we're good in that department.
Good in that department. So we were having this conversation on our trip, and we had a couple of conversations. I'm trying to see. So we were having this talk, and we were talking about, I probably was talking. I think I was talking most, but yeah, I was talking most. You did some talking, but in this particular topic, and so we were talking about, like, if something ever did come between us, we're not together anymore, or heaven forbid, I leave here early, you leave here early, any number of things that cause us not to find ourselves together. I look at, and we were having this conversation, and listen, if you're single, listen up to this, right? And I was telling my wife, and I think she was a little shocked. I was like if I went to found another woman, that woman got to be able to cook. And like, it's not that I can't cook for myself and for somebody to jump on the bandwagon. Oh, why you can't cook? And what is the woman's job being? No, I've been married for 22 years and I'm accustomed to a woman who can throw down in the kitchen, right? And she occasionally let me get in there, but I can't get in there because she don't like the way I cook, because I read directions and I follow the whole recipe. She don't like me, and it eat her up. She have to almost go into the other side of the house and let me cook because the way I cook annoys her. But
Just a little.
yeah, thank you for telling the truth. I testify. So but yeah, that woman got to cook. Why? Because I ain't talking about doggone ordering out no food. And I'm, I'm trying to, go over the top of it. I ain't throwing nobody else out there or whatever. But my wife cooks. My wife cooks. Uh-oh. Gonna be bringing Chandra on with us in just a minute here. But my wife cooks. And because my wife cooks, another woman gonna have to. There's certain things that she does that I become accustomed to. That another woman, if she ain't doing that, she can't do that. I can't do it. Hey, Chandra, what's up?
It's got,
Hey.
I'm hearing it's like lagged a little bit.
Oh, okay. Yeah, if
So
you hear it on the you have to cut the other feed down or it'll throw you off.
where's the other feed? I'm sorry. Hold on.
Yeah, because I hear the echo. Like, are you watching it on another device?
So hold on. Let me. All right. Okay.
All right.
All right. So I turned that one off. Hi.
Hi. How you doing?
I'm well. I'm debating on whether or not I want them to see me right now. So
Okay.
that's why you just see the C on there.
Okay.
Um.
Thanks for joining
So
us.
look, I've known you guys for a very long time, and Tamika, I grew up watching you be the lady that you are, and it's been a pleasure definitely watching that. And then I know Damon and I had a conversation, like, how in the world did Tamika, being who she is, end up with you being who you are? Like, what in the world? And not being a bad thing. I want everybody to know it's not that it's a bad thing, but it was just two totally like different people. And how you are, Meek, you're mild tempered. It takes a lot. I don't think I've ever seen your feathers get ruffled.
I
And then
have.
Damon is this. Oh, of course you have, and I can believe it because that's leading to my question. That's what my question is leading to. How is it that someone who is so totally different from her spouse, how is it that you found in him exactly what makes you stay with a person for 22 years?
Time and prayer, of course.
Lots of that, baby.
Because the opposites did attract, and then just trying to find for us, I think purpose, because there are times where I think we even said, "What in the world?" Or what kind of
5 minutes after we said we said what in the world, but yes.
did we do? But patience, prayer, and trying to find exactly just what is it that we're supposed to do or why we were joined together.
Right.
It's not always easy, but just trying to help, just trying to, and for me, it hadn't always been easy, or I hadn't always got the message, or even been, I don't know if you want to call it pride. Once you get to a certain spot of like starting to resent and just feel a certain way, is there really purpose there? Or what is
Right.
that I'm supposed to do for him? Definitely trying to serve, but what is it I'm supposed to bring out of him, or how do I make him his best? And at the same time, how do I let him make me my best?
That's good.
Bring that out or pull that out of me. And I hadn't always been the easiest person to do that, because for me, trust is a big issue. And I have to learn every day, of course, to give grace, forgive, to let go. and show a vulnerable me that is not always easy to do, or even to say, I need your help.
Right.
Yeah, you know,
That's good.
and I
That's
need this
good.
from you. And that's just goes back to a lot of those unspoken expectations, because I had a lot of expectations. And we didn't even get to know each other that long. So, you know, how in the world do I have all these expectations? Because, you know, when you're younger, you grow up and you think about husband and marriage and the idea of it. You just figure, hey, a man is going to be either what you've been
Right.
told, seen what you've been told, and not either ask the right questions or give him the chance to be that person. And then when he's not being that person, be able to communicate it. And hey, we got to get better at doing this.
Uh-oh, she came on camera.
Oh,
She
there
got-
you are. Hey, gorgeous.
Hi. Yeah, that's good. I asked that question because no, I haven't been married for 22 years. August coming up will be 15. And so Casey and I are different. Like we have a lot of things that I was raised a certain way. He was too, but his life took a different turn. There were different life experiences that caused him to think a different way and move a different way. I mean, and I even asked God, are you for real? Like I prayed for something and God sent me something. And then when he sent it in that package, I was like,
Right.
that ain't what I asked for, I don't think. But again, that's why I asked that question. Huh?
It's return to sender.
Right. And I couldn't. It was like no returns. I could not. So that's why I asked that question. And you guys are such an inspiration. I enjoy watching the both of you, and even your differences are inspiring. Knowing that you are different people and you could be together for 22 years, because sometimes you have to learn you ain't leaving this house, but you can go to another room. And so,
Exactly.
That's so over there.
right.
So,
Now leave this house, it's gonna be some different problems, but you know, I get it. So again, I just wanted to come on and say congratulations once again and happy anniversary. And I wish you 22 more on top of those. So
thank you. We
Thank
appreciate
you.
it. Appreciate it. Thank you.
all right. Bye-bye.
Bye. And just like that, you two can come on air with us. Thank you, Chandra. We are definitely different. Although I think my wife thought we were really, really different. Like I was a heathen and she was a saint.
And no, I didn't think we were that different. But and a lot of times, I do want to say this: opposites don't always attract. Because sometimes people, you know, you just hear the cliche, oh, opposites attract, and you get this person you're opposite, and for the first, 8 weeks, 9 weeks, or while you're dating a little bit, oh, I think we'll be cool. We have this in common. You're not sure if you're compatible, but you have a few things in common.
Right.
So I just do want to put that out there, that opposites don't always attract. But sometimes they do. You just have to get to the nitty gritty of it, really learn each other and learn their heart. The heart of the person, and what how you really do connect, what brings you together or make you alike, or those similarities or the things that you really do agree on.
Yeah.
And that's what I was going to say earlier when we were talking about, was it the expectations? Or, no, what was the phrase you said? By now.
By now.
Yeah, if we were here by now. A lot of times it goes back to not having like vision and goals in marriage, and staying true to those and kind of communicating about them. Because a lot of times you will say it in the beginning, or you'll talk about, hey, this is what I want, in marriage, and this and that and the other, and then you never go back to kind of talk about it again.
Right.
And then you kind of get lost.
Yeah.
During the marriage, and then you'd be like, well, I thought in the beginning they said this or they meant that, but you never went back to see what they really meant by that, and keep the vision and the focus of where we're going, what we're doing
Right.
in the forefront.
Right.
And then you don't have to just be, I guess get to that point where you are so disappointed. And you go, you wait 10 years and you go, oh, I thought by now.
Yeah.
Instead of, at year 1 or 2, or even 6 months in,
Yeah.
hey, we're not staying on track. We said we're going to do this. This is really important to me. Is it important to you? And then if you have to change a little bit, or refocus, or change the dynamic of whatever it is you're trying to reach or do, you do, because you're constantly growing and life changes, thing changes.
Right. I think that one of the things, and you say that in professional development, they teach, I don't know if it's 90 days, because I think that's a bit extreme, but some people say update your resume every 90 days because you've done or learned so much, and instead of waiting till you get to the end. And I'll be honest, like, I've had to do my resume for procurements or whatever, and I have to stop and think, like, what have I done in my career? And like, as far as being at a professional level, I've been doing that for, over 20 years. What have I done in 20 years? And I can't even remember it all, right? So I think the same thing is kind of true with your marriage, is you have to update your resume, your portfolio, and not only just update it, but let your spouse know. I can remember one of the big things I used to like to do is get you flowers and bears. And you used to like it in the beginning, but you changed from liking that and you didn't update me on it. True enough, I probably should have picked up on it a little bit. I know there were various factors in hindsight that kind of impacted that, but it was one of those things. It's like, if something changes with you, don't expect your spouse to be a mind reader. And I think I thought by now, like, we've been together this long, you should know by now. No.
Right.
God, you'll hear me say it. I'll say it for 1,001 times. If the God of all the universe, of which it says, he knows what you have need of before you even ask, still tells you to make your request known, then guess what? The same, that your spouse is not greater than God, so you got to make your request known. That means just updating your spouse and stuff. So,
And transparent moment for me, not that I didn't like those things anymore or whatever. And every now and again, I think it really is nice to get some of those surprises and stuff like that. But for me, at the point, or at one of those points where we were doing that, or, you were doing those things, it was more important for us to be able to afford certain things at home versus, you know what I'm saying? Instead of getting the flowers. So that was just my point. And, sometimes you kind of green is like, oh, thank you, whatever. But, I'd rather for this bill to be paid, and it wasn't communication. And then it wasn't about just getting the flowers, because I guess that suits me and my personality, because I'm kind of sort of frugal. But instead of ordering a dozen roses or calling and having delivery and this and that and the other, you can kind of do it on a budget. You can go to the store, buy a dozen roses a lot cheaper. Hey, have somebody, if you're not that crafty person, put the baby's breast and put it together, and you know what I'm saying, and deliver it that way. Like for instance, in Sharon, she was just so and she's the one that did it for me, I want to say. So was it Valentine's Day or something or whatever? It was a holiday, Valentine's Day or something. And so I ordered what was it? Like the fruit.
Edible arrangements.
Edible arrangements. I was like, okay, where did it go? I could see it, but I couldn't get it. Edible arrangements. So I was like, when I saw what they was charging to deliver. Now, if I was in a different state or town or something like that, that's different. We were in the same little city, a mile or two away. So I was like, no, I'm not going to pay them that much to deliver this. I'll deliver it myself. But I didn't want you to know I delivered it. So I, had or knew some people that worked there. Gave them a call. Be like, okay, I'm going to drop this off. Would you do this for me? So.
I didn't get it. I think Chandra done kept my stuff. Chandra, where my stuff at? I ain't get my stuff, Chandra. I didn't get my stuff.
So you did get it. But that was just my way
No,
of
she
thinking.
did. She offered me some. Like,
No.
oh, I got this. Yeah, she offered me some.
She did not. She
Yes,
gave
she
you
did.
that stuff. But and I mean, I think for a point early on, I expected you to think the way I was thinking about certain things.
Yep, not gonna happen.
So that was the important part about communicating.
Yep, we still think differently today. So
We did.
we do. So I think that one of the things that's getting in 22 years. So one of my big things is just like refocusing, and I have reflection points. And so my reflection points are usually around significant dates in my life or seasons in my life. And so my reflection points are usually around my anniversary, my birthday, which is my new year. I used to have a reflection point around the new year, but to me, that's arbitrary. It's made up. My new year is when I'm born. You know, I wasn't born in January. So I have these reflection points, sometimes around the birth of my kids, whatever, but I have these reflection points, and each reflection point kind of focuses me about thinking about a certain aspect of life or of my life and as I've grown or what have you. And I think that's important. And so one of my big reflection points that I've been doing on now is actually even though I was reflecting on marriage, it has nothing to do with my marriage per se directly, but the only way I can get better at marriage is also being a better me. And so one of my big things now is, and I'll actually be teaching a class on it with through Reaching Three Ways, where Damery speaks somehow, I'll be teaching a class on it, is that I am refocusing, learning to gain my focus back, because I had to come to this point during my reflection point, and it is even before, it is like when my reflection season opened. And it opened at a certain point and ran through through our anniversary. And so I'm just thinking, I was realizing that in general, I love analogies. So if you've been around sports, you'll hear sometimes they'll talk about, man, that guy's talented. If he put in the work, he'd be an all-star, right? Or something. And sometimes they make all-star status without putting in the extra work. They just have raw talent. And I promise you what I'm about to say, I'm not trying to be arrogant or anything of that nature. I'm just being put in right analogy. There's a raw gifting that God has given me that I have not been focused, and I had to come to that reality of looking at this reflection point, and that I've got to look at the things. So my prayer is like, God, help me refocus, show me how to refocus, because, you know, it's sometimes people look like, man, you did that. Most of what people seen me do has been Damon producing unfocused. I haven't even produced anything focused in several years. It's like just the raw talent. So trying to get back to that, I had to find ways. I'm starting to find ways to, how do I focus? How do I be intentional about being a better me so that my family can be my wife? I can have a better marriage. I can be the better husband. I can be the better father. I am not at my best if I'm not focused. And so that has to happen. And I'm not a very scripted person. And so I like to shoot off the cuff a lot. And so in that, I was having this conversation with God, and he's like, you don't lose that. Matter of fact, I need you to be unscripted, because that's when I can flow through you and you're not thinking, right? And then what I need to flow through you just comes out without you thinking and putting your own print on it. But at the same time, I still need you focused, because when I need you to put stuff together, I need you to put stuff together. So that's kind of been my thing. It's like, what do I have to offer to my marriage after 22 years? Is me getting better at doing marriage by being a better me.
Awesome.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And I meant that goes to the same. For me, I was just thinking, the more I work on me, it's like it just happens. You see the better you, or the better you comes out to be the better wife, the better mom, if you're a mother, the better employee, the better person all around.
Mm-hmm.
I think, and so a lot of times I don't think, people really understand the importance of working on themselves completely.
Yes.
It's whole just like, oh, it's just working on me, but you're still kind of thinking about, well, what about them, or how's it? You're still not just pouring all that energy into you, and it sounds selfish, but it really isn't.
Mm-hmm.
To really focus on you and getting certain things and aspects about you, just like done. What do I really purpose? number one, purpose, and going about that. And I think even just starting there, you kind of, that's somewhere to start. Where
Right.
you start with the purpose and you kind of go from there and do the work. Because I think also a lot of times we say things and it's like, oh, okay, I'm going to do it or whatever. Easier said than done. You have to actually intentionally put in the work.
Yes, you do. I'm gonna bring up something. Shirley said. She says I do the same thing, same year around my birthday. I look at my whole life and everything that I'm connected to. And the reason I really wanted to bring that up, is because of that last statement. Everything that I'm connected to.
That's good.
And Shirley, it is so important. And I promise we're gonna have Shirley on the show. We just got to figure out when and get that figured out. Make that happen. But Shirley is the truth. I enjoy watching every time she's on Sister Talk 2020. And I look and I say, what you're connected to. And I've started to make that same this year when I went into my season of reflection. One of the things that did keep coming up to me is, what are you connected to? The who's and the what's I'm connected to.
And the whys.
And the why are you connected to those things? Yes. And so I started to evaluate that because, and you may have, I'm telling you, there was a quote probably middle of the year, maybe saw on Instagram, maybe in August or something. And it says, just because I have time doesn't mean I'm available. And there are some people and things around you that want every waking minute that you have time. That doesn't mean I'm available to you.
Right.
And you sometimes out of our own brokenness or out of a sense of service or out of a false sense, like one of the things that happened, and some people may have noticed, maybe not noticed, is that second and fourth Sundays is when UC Life does our Sunday service, Sunday Bible study fellowship online, or, sometimes, or we're here in the building, people are not joining us right now. But when you start thinking about it, is like, I was going to be like, hey, I can just take my gear Sunday morning, I'll get up or whatever. And I was like, whoa, I have to stop. You know what? This is me and my wife having some time. This is my first ministry. This is my first ministry. Is if you're not going to listen to UC Life anymore because we weren't there on this Sunday, even though we missed some, we're second and fourth, and well, y'all already ain't got but 2 Sundays. Y'all could have did something. No, this is my first ministry. This is the first soul I'm responsible for and accountable for to minister to. And to care about, right? So I'm not going to lug all this equipment. Yeah, I can do it from anywhere, but so I had to go through that thing. It's like, what are you connected to? Why? Who are you connected to? And some of us are connected to people and things that are draining us, but those things are so adept at draining that by the time you realize that it's like that mosquito. Every now and again, you get that one mosquito, you don't notice they there until you look. I think that's a season. That's old grandma cougar mosquitoes, because all the mosquitoes that suck blood are women, are female, or that's got the needle. I ain't gonna say the males don't suck the blood, got the needle. But anyway, science fact. So, but I'm like, you've been around for a while, because I ain't even feel you bite me. And by the time I saw you full of my blood. And there are some people that are just like that. There's some things that are just like that. And you have to be aware. And I was like, man, I don't have to give my time to everything that wants it. Because there's going to always be something that wants your time. And that's something I'm learning. I'm getting that discipline. I'm in that season of trying to get that focus, because then I can focus on the things that I can make great instead of making a whole bunch of stuff good.
Right. You have to, because I say you think you're doing a lot more than you actually are when
Hmm.
you're trying to spread yourself out too much. And was it Shirley that said finding balance? That is like so important. You have to find that balance, and finding balance sometimes means no, meaning, you know, shutting off things, shutting down things, and being present. And I don't think people understand being present, how important that is. Don't really get it enough, you know, being present of where you are and what you're doing in each moment, you know, and seizing those moments because you don't get them back.
Right.
You know, and so then you are able to give your all for whatever time block or whatever the allotted time you have to do focus and do whatever you're doing, but be present there. Not they're doing this like, you know, kind of checking off the box, like you're checking off the years. Oh, I got this done and this done and that done. And then you kind of think back like, you know, what did I actually do? I got it done, but you know, you don't actually remember what it was or got the joy out of whatever it was you were doing. If
Yeah.
it was work, conversation, being with your kids, being with your spouse, you know, being with your family, you know, and just being there,
Yep.
breathing and taking it all and taking it in. And that's not just the good things, even the things that are bad or upsets us or disappoint us, you know,
Hmm.
taking all of those things in
Yep.
and then even releasing them when you have to or you need to.
Yep. I think that's important. I look at some stuff and I look at and definitely I'm going to share a book journey we're finna go on. Let my wife know. I don't know. Wish at some point we'd get a chance to do like a couples devotional where one, we're gonna definitely write one, but two, just do some group couple devotional things from time to time, 15, 20 minutes with couples and just have these power devotionals or whatever.
Just for encouragement.
Just for
There's
encouragement
a lot of
one
times
with another because we draw strength from one another. And I think that's what happens a lot of times, especially in the Black community. We talk what goes on in my house stays in my house. And so we don't even we'll go hang around other couples, but we don't connect with other couples and draw on each other's strength of trial and error and things that we've gone through. Because if I could learn some of the things we went through from somebody else and those lessons had stuck, then I'd have much rather go through those things than
Right.
to actually go through some of the stuff or the challenges, right? So, but there's this book here. It's called, and I actually brought this book I brought it from Lifeway, and Lifeway been closed close to a year now, getting there. And, but I brought it because I'm always just picking up books about marriage. I got a stack of books probably this high, and that might, of books on marriage, and most of them I read. There's a few I've half read, but pretty much all of them are really good. But this one is called New Habits of Thinking for a Higher Way of Living, Married for a Purpose. And it's a 52 weekly devotions for couples with Greg and Julie Gorman. And so it caught my eye because I'm all about purpose or whatever. And so it's 52 weeks, so a whole year devotional. Probably won't take us that long because we might double up on some of it. Who knows? We'll see. But the very first one, and I won't read it in its entirety, it says, week 1, concentrate your attention on God's intention. Concentrate your attention on God's intention. Now, I'm going to read this. I see your comment, Chandra. I'm going to come back to that because there's something in that too. It says, concentrate your attention on God's intention. I'm going to just read the opening paragraph that really grabs me. It says, ever get tired of to-do lists? If so, you'll love this simple truth. God's purpose for your marriage isn't another thing you need to do. It's a celebration of who you are. God created every one of us on purpose and for a purpose. And the same holds true for our marriages. But in order for us to live God's purpose, we need to create godly habits that foster life and welcome his purpose into our everyday living. That's the opening paragraph. And that is so important. It's about being intentional, about inviting God in.
Yes.
And Chandra, you had said this comment. I think it's so fitting with this thing. Chandra says, and don't ever think that you don't have anything that someone else might need.
Mhm.
Yes, our in inviting God in to our marriages and sharing and connecting with other couples. I don't care how long you've been married. Sometimes the newlywed remembers lessons that you forgot. It's like, oh, I remember that's what's been going on with us
Right.
because you forgot that thing because it's been so long, right?
Mhm.
And so I think that that's so important that we every marriage has something to offer,
Yeah.
but it's not a pissing contest. It's not a measuring
It's
contest or whatever, but everyone has something to offer. Even when people think they don't, everyone has something to offer, and marriages have to do more connecting. I know when we did the wine tasting, a lot of the couples, and we've been asked multiple times, um, Derek, who helped us host it, he did the thing or whatever. He's been asked multiple times. I've been asked a couple times of when are y'all doing another one of those? Of course, there's pandemic. It's like because the couples, as much as we did the wine tasting, we spent about an hour just talking about relationship and dating and getting
Right.
in
Submission,
in
which
submission.
is a very hot topic right now.
Oh,
Like
yeah.
today I heard it 3-4 times on the radio and different talk shows and stuff.
Yeah, it was just this awesome thing, and so we definitely hopefully we can even maybe get something, figure out how to do something outside and have a conversation. I know April was talking about doing something with couples, singles, all of that, and we were trying to get that together, and then just got really really busy trying to collaborate with Sister Talk on that effort or whatever. So those things haven't fallen, but we want to just come together and be able, and I think it's a good thing in reason for it to bring married and single together. And why I say it in reason, because there's some women and men ain't comfortable around about single people being around their spouse. And so you have to have the right single people, respectful single people around. And so it's those type of things that really have to happen in being able to bring couples together.
And you do, and I think it depends on the setting and of course timing, because timing is everything. To have singles around married couples, because I know one person in particularly that says, I'm tired of going to like single stuff with a whole
Yeah.
bunch of singles. You need to be around married people to know, what they're talking about, some of the challenges, the ups and the downs, so you don't keep the wrong ideas of marriage,
Yeah.
going into it kind of blinded, or oh, they don't deal with this, or being realistic to what married people actually deal with and
Yeah.
and what their conversations are. And a lot of times they aren't invited into those conversations.
Mhm.
And they probably should. Not that you put like all of your business out there, as married couples, but there are things that they would probably appreciate, love to know, and need to know
Yeah.
about just married and getting married and what that commitment and that vow really means,
Yeah.
instead of just, oh, I want to be married, or you go into all the single stuff and you're hearing being celibate, and not that that doesn't need to happen, but the whys and, explaining more of them, because there's only so many things you can keep saying besides wait, and wait.
Jesus, their husband.
Right. And, and get ready. But preparation is very important, and not just telling them to prepare, but how they can start to shift their mindset to prepare for marriage, because it's a whole different mindset. And of course it doesn't fully get there or fully evolve until you say the I do's and get married and understand and walk it out. But at least giving them an idea to change. Hey, I need to change this thinking or that thinking, or challenge their thinking in their conversation. When they say, oh, well, we're going to be doing this, or they think it's going to happen like this, and you look at them and you be like, that's cute.
That's cute. That's cute. So, yeah. So we've talked about a lot. I mean, 22 years. We could. I don't know that we could quite fill a book, but we could get some stuff going and popping. I think that in 22 years, you're looking at trials, errors, successes, success and victory. Shortcomings, failures, You know, just a whole plethora of things. But the one thing I always said from the beginning of our marriage is when our bad days start to outweigh our good days, then that's when I'm going to come concerned. And we've had our share of bad days, but I've never felt like we've gotten to the point where our bad days outweigh our bad days have been more numerous than our good days, and we've had some bad ones. But I just don't think that that's been the case. So, you know, that's the thing in marriage. I'm telling you, probably the most powerful book I've ever read on marriage is by, I think it's Gary Thomas, and it is called Sacred Marriage. What if marriage wasn't meant to make you happy, but to make you holy? And I think there's no cross, aside from the one that the good Lord Jesus Christ died upon, that is more trying and heavier to tote than the cross of marriage at times. But I remember, as much as marriage has a cross, marriage also has a tomb, which means marriage has a resurrection.
I think that's good, because I think when I first heard that, you brought that book, and I was like, and at that time, I think I was definitely probably still somewhat broken. I know definitely in my broken state. And so when you hear the title at first, you can be kind of offended, you know, if you just hear it, and it depends on where you are. But like today or now, I really get it or understand as my relationship with Christ just gets so much better daily. Like, really, I'm like excited. It can be like, wow, about that relationship, where I really get, or he brings that back to me, that it really is to make you holy, and not just hearing the title, but how it does, and going through the process of it all to make you holy. And not that marriage is not, you don't have happy moments or happy times, because I think you are broken somewhere if you hear the title, you're offended, and goes, well, you know, oh, God doesn't want us happy, you know, in marriage or whatever. And that's not what God means or how we should take it. But it's just where we are with how we take statements and take things, you know, and sentences and stuff in marriage, period. And so I think when I first heard it, I took it the wrong way. And now I really get and understand what that concept, what that title really means, you know.
Yeah.
And not to say God doesn't want me happy in marriage, or I won't have some happy times, you know, and stuff like that. But what it is really called to do is to make me holy.
Right. And one of the things I'll say as we get ready to wrap up is T.D. Jakes, I forget the sermon series, he said, "Who told you were supposed to be happy?" And he goes through, and there's definitely some references to happy in the Bible. Happy is the man, and you know, whose quiver is full of children, and this and that. And so he said, "Who made?" And I had to, because of how my mind works, I started digging into that and thinking about that. Who told you? And so then I went and looked up the actual definition of happiness, and I kind of understood why God talks more about joy than happiness.
Right.
Happiness can be a very fleeting emotion. That's why the Constitution says the pursuit of happiness.
Right.
So you're always pursuing it, right? But joy is, we always say joy comes in the morning. If that's the case, then joy just shows up. Happiness has to be chased. And so I think that's the thing. It's like when you have joy, even when you're not having your happy moments, joy is still there.
It's still there.
And I think that's a whole nother ball game, you know. So, you know, we're doing what we're doing. We're going to try and make a few more, get 22 more in here on the books.
For me, when I think about it, and I guess I see other people or hear marriages that's been together, you know, 40, 50 years, I was like, ooh, you know, I feel like us saying we've been married for 1 year. But I think it's like we're just really getting started, because we had to go through things and get over so many hurdles, and you know what I'm saying, that you just get. And I think a lot of times couples that kind of abort it too soon, or let it go too soon, not to say that every marriage is supposed to make it or was ordained to make it, But I think a lot of times people give up a little too soon in those years of 20 or whatever, and then figure at that point it's too late, or I can't actually start over, put the work in.
Yeah.
But it really isn't, and that you can do it, because you're just, it's like the kids, if you have kids, are grown up and they're kind of moving out, and before the grandkids come, if you don't already have some, but even enjoying the whole process of it all. But don't get so bitter, resentful, and worn out in the beginning that when you get to that state, all you are focused on, at some people, 20 years or 18 years, or is I made it, or now the kids are grown. So you've said in year, just per se 10 or 12, I can't wait till these kids get grown, I'm out. But through that time, you're just focusing on that, and you're not focusing on the healing part, or, the me part, and getting me better. Because what happens when you get to that point, you're out, you're still broken, you're not healed, you're not whole. So you go out and, start over again, only to continue the cycle.
Right.
Instead of be healthy and take the wholeness, if the relationship doesn't or does make it to the next step, of your life. But really doing that work, and not saying it's too late, or figuring, hey, I can't make it back, or we can't do it, because it's like you're just really getting that niche, or getting that start.
Yeah, I think when we stop being selfish, the reality is that sometimes children save marriages, not because people stay together. Well, they do stay together because of the children, but it allows it. God, it's like God puts the children there to put a place of patience, and then through that, finish raising the children, you discover a new side, you get a new outlook on your marriage.
Right.
But I believe, and I'm not speaking this over anyone's marriage, but I just know it to be a fact. There are some marriages that are even looking good right now, that as soon as their children are gone, their marriage is going to be severely challenged. I'm not going to say your marriage will not make it, but it's going to be severely challenged. And the reason why is because absent the children, you live with a stranger. Everything you connect on is around the children, family meals, practices, all that. And as soon as the children are gone, you are going to find that you are living with a stranger. And COVID has been a saving grace for some marriages, because people are getting to know the stranger that they said I do to. Right. And so it's so many different things on it. We are over our time. Yeah, we're so sorry. This was just, we got into this conversation and good going. And so we'll be back. We'll be back next week. Not sure what we're going to talk about, but as soon as we know, we'll let you know. But that's all we have for you tonight. You got any closing shots before we get out of here?
I do, actually. Short and sweet. Vote. My necklace says it. I tried to make my earrings say it next week, of course. I'll make that happen. My shirt, vote, people. We really, 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 really need to vote. So we can't express that enough, or I can't express that enough. We can't express that enough. The nation as a whole cannot express that enough. Go and vote. That's your voice, and it really does count. Vote.
And listen, don't care what the polls say, one way or the other. Whoever you're voting for, whoever you're voting for, right? The polls mean nothing until you cast your vote. The polls are a lie. All right. So until the next time, I'm Damon Rich.
And I'm Tamika Rich.
And thank you for joining us tonight. We love you guys. Thank you for your patience. And
thank you to our guests for joining us.
Yes, thank you, Shander. You are our first freestyle guest. We really appreciate it. And there will be more freestyle episodes coming up in the future. Till next time, have a good one.
Good night.
Good night.